Welcome back, and welcome back to a new video, lads. This one, track breakdown, as you can probably tell from the title, but interesting. I want to break down a track that's actually not released. It's coming out on a good label from a guy called Djebali, sound French guy, really cool dude who's releasing this in a few weeks, few months, I'm not too sure when, but I want to break it down. I want to delve into it, show you how I did it. Hopefully you get some value from this. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. In this particular one, there's actually a lot of synth work, and I actually posted a video of this one in the studio I was using here in Barcelona a few weeks ago. So I want to break it down, show you what I did. I used some synths from that studio. I used the Prophet, and I use a lot of soft synths as well. So it's synth bass, so I think it's an interesting one to break down. So let's dive into it. This particular track is actually very small, and if you know me by now, you'll know that I'm all about kind of simple producing. Simplicity over complexity is sort of my way of producing music. You know, people have different ways. That's my way. I don't believe you need 100 channels to make a good track. You can have 100 channels and the track could be shit. So doesn't also mean that less channels is better. It's just whatever I feel comfortable with, and in this case it's about 30 channels or so. So what do we have going on? I don't want to bore too much with the usual, here's a kick drum, this is what I did with the kick, but it's a kick drum, that's what it is, and I have just some EQ. Doing a lot of the work from the go. The sample selection here was pretty solid. I just like to do subtractive EQing a lot. I boost as well, but I always go straight into subtracting because I feel like there's always a few nasty frequencies in there which you want to take out, and actually makes the sound better when you take away. So again, it's that kind of simplicity, more less is more, which actually adds more to the final result. Right, so what is the general vibe here? Okay, let me go over it. So basically how I started the track was I kind of got a synth from the Roland Cloud instruments, right? This is the sound here. So it's a chord. And it's from the SRX dance tracks and Roland. Love this plugin. If you don't have it, definitely get it. And let me turn this on. I actually haven't paid for my Roland this month, so I need to do this again. So I've actually bounced it all down to audio, which is the same thing. So I have a chord on here which is, I don't know what the chord is doing, but it's adding a very nice on its own. It doesn't sound great, not great at all, but with the chord it just adds such a vibe, such a kind of Detroit, I don't know, like techno kind of vibe. Just a straight chord which is going through the whole track. And this one here is the same thing but an octave up. No, same thing. It's actually not doing much. So apologies on the crackle. It's just because I need to renew my Roland. I was on the road for a few weeks, so I actually paused it. Let me get it back. But here's the audio. This is the audio here. I really love it. I think it's the kind of the kind of staple of the tune a bit is this chord. And really nice. I really like that, and that's where it all started. I think I got my keyboard and I was like, I'm gonna just start playing some chords on a keyboard, and this sort of just kind of came, and that's where the kind of origin story of the tune started. So as for processing, I don't want to delve so much into it, but just again, really simple stuff here, lads. I just do some saturation and EQ, and I have some reverb, which was off, but it's actually on the audio bounce. So just some reverb, saturation, EQ. A lot of the work was done from the sound itself. It just needed a bit of trimming, taking off some kind of nasty low frequencies to leave more space for that bass, which comes through in a sec. So with the bass, this is what's going on. So it's a sub frequency bass. 2 loops chopped up, which are sort of playing off each other. So yeah, I just got some loops and I kind of did some stuff like this. This is what it sounds like originally. Not great, but when I EQ them and play them off each other, it has a real nice kind of call and response. And then with the sidechain via kickstart, we all know this one. It just sits really below the kick drum really well, because the frequencies of the kick and the bass, you know, when we're making kick and bass, we're adding sub frequencies that come together. So when they play together, it's really important that they sound good, because they can sound good on their own, but if they play together and there's some issues or doesn't sound really kind of like gel together, then it's something to do with the sound itself. So really naturally, the kick drum and these sub notes and samples really play well. And then I sort of made the chord fit around the bass. So when the kind of bass ends, the chord comes in a bit. So kind of goes like this. So when this guy finishes, the bass sort of completes the melody rhythm. Yeah, there's a lot of, you know what, I actually use a lot more kind of reverb on this track than normal. I think that kind of gives it kind of a bit of a spacey feel. It has that toughness, but I feel like I use more than I would usually with sort of reverb. Like I really reverb this crash here. I wouldn't always do that usually, but I did in this case, so it kind of has a lot of tail. So this has a lot of tail stuff happening. Kind of semi-conscious, there's no real right and wrong there, it's just sort of the vibe on this one. Okay, so again, it's a bit of a messy project, but all good. Okay, so I wanted to go over chords, bass and kick drum at the start, because the drums are pretty easy, simple. So because there's a lot of synth work going on, I wanted to make the drums very simple, just kind of more straight. That's it, a really nice kind of snappy clap with a bit of a mid loop here. So just like a bit of a shuffle loop. It's not a big drum loop, because again, I have a lot of musical elements which are really going to come through. So if your track is very drum focused, you know, it's probably best not to add too much musical layers coming through, because it might get a little bit hectic, but you can make it work. But kind of I took a conscious road here, right? Simple drums, more musical elements. I have like a trio tree, I have like chords all coming through, so it'll just get a bit too busy if I overcomplicate these drums. So again, a little mid hat, which is just doing I have a real nice clap here, which is, oh sorry, clap is here. And you know who Willem Montana is. Some Sweely sample here. That's it. That's the drums. Just very, very simple. I think for me, I just love a simple drum pattern can just do the job. We don't have to overcomplicate things, and I think we feel like we have to overdo it and just add 50 layers and drum buses and all, but in this case just worked. Tambourine coming in, so smaller drum elements will come in, because you know I kind of have a rule of thumb that every like 15 seconds something should happen in the track, even if it's very small, taking a kick drum out, or it's just a small rule of thumb that I kind of go by, like even if it's very subtle with even a crash or something new has to happen in our ear. Now if it's a long kind of cool groove, you can make it play out, but kind of like to do something small, subtle every 15 seconds or 30 seconds or so. In this case, just adding a little tambourine. Yeah, so it's kind of coming up to a 2-minute mark here. I don't want to go over intro, outro. It's a little bit like no need for that. But things are opening up. Things are coming through. This new sound is something from, again, Dance Tracks, and I have a chord on there. If you want to screenshot that chord, you can. Again, simple stuff here. Saturation, EQ. That's all I needed in this case. The sound was doing a lot of the work, the heavy lifting. Real nice chord from Dance Tracks. The preset is Super Saws, and that original chord which you're hearing, the one I should have shown the preset, Fat Rave. So it's in SYN synth section in the patches. Go through them, they're brilliant. You can write chords from just the original sounds, which sound great. Like, paying attention to call and response, the chord kind of plays in between these notes. So if I play it here, they're not playing at the same time. It's really important for a lot of the time, your bass, your musical elements to really play around each other, and it gives that feeling of, you know, call and response, rhythm. If it's all just playing at the same time, like it's not gonna have a good feeling. It's not gonna have any dynamics, so by having them play around each other, that's a really good way of getting good call and response. So if I play this with this, you'll hear how everything just kind of bounces off each other and kind of communicates. And if you're wondering, oh Andrew, like how do you write all this? How do you get on like, you know, in MIDI, and how do you get it all done? Everything is just straight notes here. It's just, I'm aware of everything playing off each other. So I'll play this note purposely sort of just before this note. I'll play the bass, I'll have it just sort of after, just around it. I'm just sort of picking the kind of the gaps, and I'm kind of fitting in a chord, and if it sounds good, I kind of leave it in. If it sounds off, I'll move it around. But it's just kind of finding those little gaps and letting the sound just kind of breathe in that kind of area. And when it all plays together, you can really feel how everything kind of talks to each other. Open hat here from, I think it's just from the Ableton. I use a lot of Ableton stuff. Very just standard open hat. I just think it added that nice bit of just extra there. When this part comes in, you're not expecting it, and boom, open hat comes through. Yeah, so on the original with all the midis, I have like, because I've muted a lot, I have a 303 which probably should have came in by now, which I actually have recorded just over here, so I can bring it in earlier. But this is the 303 which actually is in there as well. I love this. This just sort of completes everything for me personally. Like, so it's just a Roland 303. Gotta renew that ASAP. It's in reverse. It's a lot of shuffle, a lot of swing. It's a preset. It's sort of just moved around, and I got another rhythm to kind of fit with the. My bad. With the bass and so forth. So if I play this with the bass, let's have a listen. And I've taken the subs out because there's a lot of sub with this original bass line melody which I've gotten. So this is all my low elements playing here. Really clean, love that, really love that. So as for, I'll go over the arrangement sort of to finish off, but I'm just sort of going over everything here. So it's just really progressing, and just things are opening up, guys, and just sort of. So I'll take this out. I think there's a little gap there. Okay. Ableton crashes, but you're just getting pitched, tuned. Shadow Dash, I think it was Sydney Charles, got inspired by, I think he did that on a few tracks. You just tune the crashes. I think it's great. I'm not sure who else did it. It's very simple. You just literally get tune, and you just get and go up or down or up, whatever you may please, and just add some cool. That's it. And they are crashes. And then the cheeky vox here. Echo, some chorus, and EQ. That's it, my friends. So yeah, that's kind of the bulk of the record. It kind of progresses on, and it comes to a bit of a breakdown, which is here. Yeah, so. Yeah, this is from the Prophet, which I use in the studio. You'll see me on the video twiddling that thing. It's a beautiful instrument, and I just sort of got a straight thing with, like, I think it was just some filter. I didn't even do much LFO. Just adds lovely tension, really. That's what I'm doing there. I've done some other takes. I didn't actually use them, but there's some other, I think there's other takes here. No, thought there was. I must have freezed it. But, or maybe it's here. Or not. And that is kind of it. I have the 303. Again, this is a very synth heavy track, so I have a lot of stuff opening up, and done with a lot of filters and resonance cut off, so just sort of let things really open at breaks, on the breaks. So the break, everything is really opened here. You can even hear the synth here. So just a lot of like decay, and everything is just sort of like really pushed and just sort of, you know, on your synth. When you see ADSR, open up your release, your decay before a breakdown. It can just add that sense of tension or filter and resonance too, which is, I think it's really effective. If you go overboard, it could be too much. Just a little bit before a kind of a drop section, I think works really well. If you're struggling to get kind of, you know, a bit of a bigger breakdown. And then if you're wondering what my send return is, I have the big reverb you hear is it's actually a pretty big one. I think I've changed it since this, but it's like a 4-second long big room reverb from FabFilter. So I have some EQ and just some pushing the highs. So that's where you hear that lovely reverb here, even in these snares. So it's a bit of definitely a longer tail than I would usually do, but it just adds that kind of spacey feel, which I was trying to get with this one, which I think worked out pretty well. So Cathy Brown sample. Just a breath. These are from the 909 machine, drum machine, and just some small ear candy. Yeah, just some ear candy for some fills there. There's not much effects because all the effects is really done from the synths. So that's kind of the track. The arrangement, again, it's just your standard 6 minutes. Things are just developing. The tapers off, kind of a first drop. Then all tapers for a breakdown, and then all builds up for one last kind of hurrah, and then just tapers off again. It's not really a kind of a, you know, like intricate arrangement, but it just kind of does the job for the dance floor. So yeah, it works. And the master channel is, looks like there's a lot, but that's actually off. Ignore that. This is just adding a bit of limiting. I think I took that off before I sent for pre-master. That's not doing much at all. Just some shaving off a bit of lows. And then this is just sort of making things more mono on the drop, on the breakdown. So when it's coming in here, I'm kind of going more mono. When it opens up all the stereo field, this one unleashes. So it kind of has that feeling of like more impact, kind of like tricking the ear a little bit. So I like to bring things sort of a bit more mono on a main breakdown before the last kind of drop happens. So that is kind of it, guys. Really simple, just a couple of synths doing their job and simple drums. It's for the dance floor. It's not vocal heavy. It's sort of very straight up kind of stabs, just really just pushing everything through, and things are just, yeah, again, just kind of developing, and the acid comes in, the 303, and some vocal hits, and that's kind of it. Yeah, so hope you like the breakdown. Hope you like the track. It's coming out in a month or two on Djebali's label, so have a look out for that. And in the meantime, see you in the next one. Cheers.